controller in Fortnite has proven itself to be just as good as keyboard and mouse in most areas. Honestly, in some areas, it's proven itself to be even better than mouse and keyboard. However, one of the key parts to actually getting good on controller is the binds that you're using, of course, alongside the actual settings in controller setup that you're using. This video will have the best controller binds for every player, whether you play claw, paddles, or you don't use either. And at the end, I'll have the best controller settings and controller setups for every player, so make sure to stick around. So if the video helps you at any point, remember to subscribe, and if you want to show extra support, you can use my code Carter2K in the Fortnite item shop. It's greatly appreciated. Now, the first binds I'm going to show here are for the most common type of player, which are players that don't use any form of claw or paddle. These exact binds have been proven to work by this guy who has over 70,000 subscribers and some of the most insane mechanics I have ever seen from a controller player. You standard controller players really need your binds like fully optimized, so these might look a little weird, but over on D-pad, the only thing that's really different is sprint on right D-pad. It's not the most convenient spot, but it is relatively easy to actually move your stick forward and click sprint at the same time. Then L3 is going to be on edit, R3 is going to be on crouch slide repair, touchpad is the standard map. Then for the main 4 buttons, X is jump, circle is switch mode, square is reload, triangle is pickaxe. Jumping in switch mode is going to be something that's a little more difficult to do if you're not playing claw or paddles, but obviously Chaos Gaming does it and does it really well, so it is possible. Over in build controls, everything is pretty standard, except for I suggest touchpad on change material and trap, and then square is on trap picker and place. And then for edit controls, reset on R3 and confirm on R1. The next binds that I'm showing are for the second most common type of player, and those are the claw players. And if you don't know, claw is basically a grip that allows you to always keep your thumbs on the thumbsticks, which is super important. And you do this by clicking the face buttons with your index finger, so you kind of hold the controller like this for right claw, or people also play double claw and play like this. I'll show binds for both, starting with right claw players. You might recognize the name Day. He's an insane controller player, and that's where these right hand claw binds come from. So over here on D-pad, the only thing that's really different is right D-pad is actually pickaxe, L3 is going to be on sprint, touchpad map, R3 is going to be jump, then X is actually crouch slide repair, circle is edit, square reload, triangle switch mode. So you'll notice a lot of really important actions over here, and that's because you can easily click these while keeping your thumbs on the thumbsticks because you're using your right index finger. For the build controls, we'll be looking at this with the change materials and traps still on touchpad and trap picker and place on square. And for edit controls, reset is on R1 and confirm is on circle. And Day is actually not someone that uses confirm edit on release. He has this turned off, but I recommend if you're a beginner or you're switching to controller, or honestly just to use it in general, I think it's good, so I still suggest having confirm edit on release turned on. And then for double claw, we have players like Miro who are using these binds that I'm about to show you to win hundreds of thousands of dollars playing this game. The D-pad is actually all still the same. Right D-pad is toggle pickaxe, L3 is still sprint, touchpad is still map, but R3 is going to be crouch slide repair and X is going to be jump. Once again, circle edit, square reload, triangle switch mode. For build controls, once again, touchpad change materials and traps, and the default square trap picker in place. And for edit controls, actually resetting with R3 and confirming with circle once again. And just like all the other players, I suggest having confirm edit and release turned on. And now the last type of players there are paddles players. Players typically either use 2 paddles or 4 paddles, so I'll have binds for both of those. And just like every other controller style, 2 paddles and 4 paddles players have both been used by very successful pro Fortnite players. So for 2 paddles players, I recommend having a right D-pad sprint, otherwise D-pad's pretty standard. L3 is gonna be switch mode, touchpad is gonna be map, R3 is gonna be crouch slide repair. And then jump and edit, arguably the 2 most important actions in game, are both gonna be bound to your paddles. I personally use a right paddle edit, left paddle jump, but a lot of people actually use the opposite. I'd say it doesn't really matter which paddle does which, but use edit and jump both on paddles. Square is gonna be reload, triangle is gonna be pickaxe. Over in build controls, we're still gonna be on change material and trap on touchpad, and then your trap picker in place is gonna be on square. Then for editing controls, I think the fastest resets are gonna be an R3 reset with an R1 confirm. Now the binds for 4 paddles are gonna look pretty identical, but the difference is you're binding more of these things to your paddle. And 4 paddles usually come in one of 2 styles. They're either gonna be like this, where they're kind of up on top of each other, or they're gonna be like the scuf impact, where they're all laid out horizontally. My personal favorite 4 paddles is actually the strike pack eliminator, which looks like this, but be warned, it is capable of mods, and a lot of people accuse you of cheating even if it's on tournament mode, and it literally doesn't allow you to use mods in tournament mode. Otherwise, the Hex Gaming Hyper is also a great option for 4 paddles. So for your first paddle, I like having sprint and confirm both on right D-pad, and then I set one of my paddles to that. Typically, I set the paddle that I click with my left ring finger. Then L3 is still gonna be on switch mode, map is still gonna be on touchpad, crouch slide repair is still gonna be on R3, and then jump, edit, and pickaxe are all gonna be paddles. The the only button you'll actually have to click over here is reload interact. Jump is usually set to the paddle that I click with my left middle finger. Edit is set to the paddle that I click with my right middle finger. And then pickaxe is set to the paddle that I click with my right ring finger. For build controls, same thing, change material and trap on touchpad and then trap picker in place on square. And edit controls, R3 is still reset and confirm, like I said, is on that left ring finger paddle. On 4 paddles, of course, I still have edit on release turned on. These binds should work well for literally all of you players. Now let's take a look at the best setting that you can use in combination with these binds to be a great player. First of all, if you're a beginner, we'll want to run through these settings quickly as well. I recommend copying exactly what I have here. Toggle sprint on, auto open doors on, mantle activation is hold jump, hold to swap pickup is on, this is off, on, off. Preferred item slots, this is obviously personal preference, but this is actually a really good loadout. Then down here, these 4 building options are going to be really important, and I recommend having all these turned on. Over here, really the only important setting is tap to search / interact being on. Over here, gyro aim settings are honestly just not good at all. There's literally 0 pro players that use gyro aim settings. So honestly, I recommend just having gyro aim off completely. Mouse and keyboard settings don't matter. Now for the controller options, the first thing you want to make sure is you have use advanced options turned on. Over here, I don't like using controller auto run, but that's kind of a personal preference. Build immediately, you should have on. Slide hold time is perfect at 0.1 seconds. For your camera stuff, the default is pitch in 0.1, which is perfect. You actually want to have vibrations turned off because that little vibration can actually throw off your aim. Build and edit multipliers, both of those are going to be 2.0. For look sense, you're going to have a 43% for both horizontal and vertical with 4% turning boost. But on turning boost ramp time, you're not going to have anything. Instant boost when building is off. For ADS, 8% for both horizontal and vertical speed. And turning boost of 1% on both of those as well with a 0-second turning boost ramp time. 0-second look damping time, look input curve of linear, which I heavily recommend. And then the last important setting is going to be dead zones, and dead zones are completely dependent on your specific controller. I will say the average player uses between 8% and 15%. I personally use 10% on both of my sticks. This doesn't give me any stick drift, but you might have to go even higher to avoid stick drift. These are the sound settings that I use if you want to copy them, and these are these settings, I guess, if you want to know those as well. I also said I'd tell you guys about the best controller setups as well, because as you might be able to tell, I have quite a lot of experience with a bunch of different controllers. And I'll start that off with saying that I definitely think that every single Fortnite controller at some point should try to switch to either claw or paddles. It's honestly just way better, and I'm not saying that you can't get good without using claw or paddles, but basically using claw or paddles, it makes it way easier to be really good at the game. But if you are stuck just with your standard controller style, then that's actually exactly what I recommend, standard controller. So that's gonna be the standard Xbox One controller, the standard DualShock 4, or the standard DualSense. The standard controllers are always gonna be the most quality controllers you can get. Most of the time they have the least amount of delay and the least amount of problems. So if you don't need any extra fancy stuff, then that's literally all you need. And all those same things actually apply to claw players as well, because claw players don't need any extra pads or any extra features really. But I personally am a fan of extra accessories, and here are the 3 that I recommend to every player. I recommend a full controller grip for sure. This one right here is the lizard skin grip. Another good one that I've used is a Control Freak extra thin grip. It obviously makes the controller more grippy, it makes your hands less sweaty, and it makes the controller a lot more comfortable to hold. The next accessory is a low or mid-rise Control Freak on your right stick. This right here is the mid-rise Galaxy Control Freak, and I really like it. It's very comfortable, adds a little extra height for more precise aim, but there's so many players with insane aim that don't use Control Freak, so I don't think it's necessarily needed for good aim. I personally just really like the grip and the overall feel of it. And then the last accessory that I really recommend to all controller players is a tactile button and trigger stop kit. I got this one from Extreme Rate, and they actually make them for all different controllers. As you can see, my trigger literally barely has to go down to activate, and all my buttons are clicky and they activate really fast. But you should really only get this thing if you're confident in your ability to install it, because you literally have to take apart your entire controller. If you want all those features already built into a controller, you do have a lot of options. PS5 players can get a custom aim controller. This thing has the height adjustable thumbsticks, it has the clicky buttons, it has the trigger stops, it has the grip on the back, and it also has 4 extra paddles. Xbox players can get the Elite Series 2. Again, we got the height adjustable thumbsticks, we got the grip on the front and actually the back. We got the 4 extra paddles there, and we also have the trigger stops. And PS4 players can get the Scuf Impact, height adjustable thumbsticks, trigger stops, the back rubber grip, and 4 paddles. All those controllers are linked down in the description, but be warned that those are way more expensive than just buying extra accessories and adding them to your controller. And by the way, I also have all the links to these accessories down in the description as well if you want to check them out. Hopefully this video helped you with some stuff. If it did, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys for watching, and I hope to catch you in a future video.